Welcome to the second episode of SaPure's in-depth track analysis. Today we take a look at O2 with a bit of a different approach compared to before, as it is very hard to differentiate minor but deciding differences in between the runs. We will again start off with an easy way to drive the map and work ourselves up in pace. Comparisons with the previously displayed runs can improve the visibility of varying lines. The map can be divided in three major sections: the start, the grass, and the wall ride. To start off, we will provide an overview of the entirety of Spring 2023 O2. Enjoy! O2 heavily relies on precision movements to gain time. The map starts off with a double bend leading into the first decisive section. The 180 turn into a banking requires reduction of airtime while maintaining a tight exit. The following grass section allows to build up high speeds while maneuvering past the pools. The exit of the grass is especially important as the generated speed will translate into the rest of the map. Let's start off with our first run. While not taking the tightest lines possible for the first turns, importance lies on not touching the penalty grass at all. When having trouble reducing airtime for the following 180 turn, make sure to enter below the tiny roof on the left. Full steering during the turn is required to achieve the tightest line. This run has a great entry into the grass, but loses time by driving wide around the pools, which will be more visible in the following comparison. For the first step, simply make sure to not touch the water, as this will instantly result in a large time loss. Wet wheels reduce grip and increase sliding, therefore reducing acceleration. For now, the general idea for approaching the wall ride is to stay as low as possible while minimizing sliding. Our first improvement is driven by Silvertox. The beginning of the run remains the same up to the 180 turn. Here, the angle of entrance decides for the upcoming exit. To take a more precise look, we compare 4 players with minor differences in their approach. Which one of the cars do you think will exit the turn first? Did you guess correctly? Let's take a second look at their entry. While the red car takes the tightest approach, it is a bit too inside to fully eliminate the airtime. The green car takes a safe outside entry and stays close to the remaining players, who take the most direct path. Don't get confused by the SD looking skid marks, as this is the resulting overlap of 2 cars. The speed during the turn is below 400, making an SD impossible and resulting in not sliding being the fastest way to drive the turn. When going low into the turn, avoid touching the grass on the right, as this also results in quite the loss of speed. A thing to keep in mind during the grass entry is to enter as straight as possible and instantly lower steering from a full left when still on tarmac to tinier inputs as soon as touching the grass. As mentioned before, the first run had a good grass entry but loses speed due to taking wider and safer turns around the pools. When comparing the final wall ride, the second run enters too high, resulting in a later booster and more than 30 less speed into the finish. The next run is again driven by SaPure. Hide the lines during the start section, especially when approaching the 180 turn, already gain a small advantage. This run we will take a more detailed look at the grass section. This infographic demonstrates the generally fastest overlaps on grass. Since more steering is required to make it past the 3 pools, it is in this case impossible to achieve the optimal overlap. The objective throughout the grass section is to stay as close to the shown skid marks while still making it past the pools. In addition, it should be kept in mind that no sliding will result in a loss of speed, as time spent in the no slide can in theory be used to speed slide with faster acceleration. This is not the case when oversliding too much, of course. Due to a better overlap early in the grass section, Silvertox is catching up again, but loses a lot of speed after oversliding towards the exit. Attempt to maximize the overlap towards the final checkpoint by making use of all the space to the right. Compared to the previous run, the wall ride already improved with a lower exit. The next clip includes 2 runs driven by Night Roast and Sir Wills, who both achieved an equal time of 26.328. Even further improved lines in the start reveal an additional time gain potential. The main difference compared to the previous run are better speed slides during the grass section. The closer to a straight line in between the pools, the less oversliding is necessary to make the turns. The wide part of the pool border does not trigger wet wheels and can therefore be used as racing line. When entering back onto the tarmac, a short ST is possible to gain additional speed. Finally, a lower and smoother wall ride keeps more speed into the finish. Before continuing with our final run, we will take a more detailed look at the optimal approach and line. In this comparison, the optimal line, which is composed of the top 3 times on the map, visualizes deviations. As mentioned before, staying as low as possible is the general idea, as going higher up the wall will logically lose more speed. Secondly, trying to go as quote-unquote smooth as possible will keep sliding to a minimum. This is made easier by adjusting the line after entering the tarmac and approaching the wall ride from the right. The more left the approach, the harder it is to maintain a low entry. The delayed camera 3 requires some practice to get used to. The final run is the current world record by Complex Statics. Similar to 01, this run combines all the previous tricks and executes them to perfection. While Night Roast and Wills stay close during the beginning of the map, even tighter lines in the grass gain additional speed. The biggest improvement though takes place in the exit of the grass, with more speed being preserved by Complex. This is mainly due to an early adjustment in angle, even before the last pool, to return to a more optimal sliding angle sooner and generate more speed. Finally, Complex takes a perfect line through the wall ride while maintaining all the speed. As it is tradition, we will finish the video with a comparison of all the presented runs combined to remind ourselves of the potential mistakes and acquired knowledge. Thanks for watching everybody, I hope you enjoyed the second episode of SaPure's in-depth track analysis. Feel free to let me know any questions in the comments or head over to twitch.tv/SaPure7, where I'll gladly help you out at any time. Cheers!